Okay, everyone, we are going to get started now. Everyone on Zoom, if you can't hear us, let us know in the chat and in the comments. I'm going to ask that our audience, please turn your phones off and open up your ears. It's time to get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Please, y'all can do a little bit better than that. Uh-oh, somebody's phone already. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful. Good afternoon. My name is Kiana Glanton. I am the Development and Special Projects Manager here at Lighthouse Guild. I am so excited to help moderate this conversation, Access and Focus, for the third year in a row. I appreciate each of you for joining us in person and virtually. I'm looking that way, but I should be looking that way. And for blind people, that way and this way is like ridiculous, right? But we're amongst each other, and so we can say that, but not them. Here at Lighthouse Guild, we are committed to helping people who are blind and who have low vision attain their goals. Those goals can be simply learning O&M, right? Learning how to use your cane. It could be adjusting to vision loss through mental health support. It could be medical support. It could be low vision optometrist here. It could be learning how to use your computer, preparing for school, or being a young person and having to navigate a young adulthood and childhood as a VIP, a visually impaired person, or a very important person in our world, right? And so today I'm happy to participate in this conversation where Lighthouse Guild has committed not just those essential skills that you need as a VIP, but the other ones. What happens when you leave Lighthouse Guild? What do we do when we're home? What do we do on the weekends? How do we enjoy ourselves? Everything is not doom and gloom. In fact, many of us, many of you have very full lives. And some of that includes entertainment. Today's conversation will focus on the ways in which we create, we consume, and we participate in different forms of media. We will talk about the fashion industry. We will talk about social media. We will talk about AI, the hot girl in the room, right? We will talk about the meta glasses. And we will talk about what's on your heart in terms of accessing entertainment, right? Nothing about us without us. This conversation is for us. So I ask that you participate. Think of your questions and your comments and hold them to the end, and you will have an opportunity to participate. So I myself am visually impaired. I have uveitis, which is inflammation of the eye. I have sight in just one eye. So that has led me here to Lighthouse Guild to learn how to use my cane, to gain vocational skills, and that has grown into helping other people come through these doors and learn what is possible. What also is possible is having a great time in your life. And so I'm really excited to talk about this event with these amazing people that are on our panel. This program was put together in collaboration with the Spectrum company. You guys know Spectrum, you have Wi-Fi, right? Some of you guys have, okay, all right. Let's give it up for Spectrum, you guys, please. Okay, sometimes I'm really funny. So some of these puns are gonna be intentional. We know that blindness is a what? Thank you, Anna. Blindness is a what, you guys? Oh, that was dragon. Let's try it for the last time. Blindness is a
spectrum.
That's right. And we happen to have representation from Spectrum, the company. They have supported this event for the last 3 years, and it's changed, but it has allowed different professionals and media personalities to come here and talk about the experience and how we access entertainment. Spectrum itself has been committed to ensuring that people that are blind and low vision have a lot of access as well. It's growing, right? We need more representation, and we happen to have someone on the panel, Peter K. I can never say his last name right. Let me guess. Kurtavaya. How do I say it, Peter? He said it right. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Okay. Peter K for the cool kids, okay? Peter K is a blind engineer who, and I'll tell you a little bit more, and he'll tell you more about himself, but he has helped create an app. This is free. Listen to me, you guys, download it. This app allows you to consume movies and television, right? It'll be playing. And with this app, it is paired such that audio description is playing from your phone. So we can watch TV with our kids. We can watch TV with our family. We can watch TV alone and have the audio description that is necessary, right? For us to be engaged as well. How many of us have gone to the movies and we had the headphones with the audio description? Yeah. Right. How many didn't work and you had to go back to get the headphones, right? I've personally used the Spectrum Access Entertainment app, and it works really well, and the library is growing. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But first, I want to introduce all of our panelists. To the direct left of me is Anna Lee Bowen Smith. I personally work with this fantastic, amazing woman. She is the founder and president of Not My Eyes. This is a registered 501c3. I'm proud of myself because I said those letters right. Nonprofit organization that focuses, in my words, on fashion and beauty and includes all people of different abilities, specifically those who are blind and low vision. We're going to talk about her story, but I want to say this. If you think you want to model, you got to get with Anna Lee Bowen Smith because her fashion shows only have blind models. And they're new to the scene, new to the world of fashion, such that the clothing is always audio described. The directions, the teaching, the whole thing is done by people who are VIPs. And she is truly committed to showing beauty inside and outside. And so, welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Anna. Where's the microphone? Okay. All right. Next to Anna is our cool kid, Peter K. I already warmed up the room a little bit about Peter K. And he has allowed this collaboration to happen. And he himself has lived experience as a blind individual. And he's just super cool. And he's super fly. He has on a nice suit, dark glasses. So welcome, Peter K. Last but not least is Lance Johnson. And this person is really impressive because he is a member of the VI community and he is a videographer. We can do anything, can't we? Like, if we have the proper training, we can get it done. Lance Johnson has worked with the Foundation Fighting Blindness. Many of us are familiar with that organization. And we bumped into each other because he was filming content for that organization that raises funds for research around blindness to find a cure for blindness. He also has created a podcast called the See Through Podcast, which you guys can find on Instagram and other social media platforms, which I'm sure he'll share. What's really cool is he's a high partial. So he's pointing out all the things that I can't see in the room. And as we're walking, I'm giving him description and he's telling me where to go and what to look for. Why this is important is that he is dealing with vision loss at a slow rate, right? And we know that blindness is a you guys, come on with it. Blindness is a that's right. And so all of our stories are important. So even people who are entering our community and may have conditions that will lead to blindness, we want you here too. We want to amplify your voice and your experience, and it matters whether you decide to define yourself by low vision or blind or visually impaired or someone that just can't see too good. We want you to be part of this conversation in this community. So that's a basic introduction of our panelists, and we're going to start with question number one. Can you describe your experience to vision loss and your condition and yourself a little bit? We'll start with who has the microphone.
I got it.
Okay, you got to talk into the microphone.
Okay. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What is your relationship to vision loss, and can you describe yourself and how it is impacting you?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Anna Lee Bowen Smith once again. Oh,
Can't hear back there.
Let me help you.
I think it's yeah, it's on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just talk loud, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Once again, my name is Anna Lee Bowen Smith. Thank you, Kiana, once again for the platform. I'm very honored to be here. So, I am a RP. I was diagnosed at the age of 12. And, it was very tough for me at that age, losing knowing that I was diagnosed. And also, what I did was take my devastation into determination, and I ran with it with my blindness, as my vision started to progress. So, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. What is your condition? Do you feel like sharing your condition?
Yeah, so it's retinitis pigmentosa, RP,
And can you describe yourself?
okay, and okay. So once again, my name is Haley Wilson. Sorry, I'm going over again, but I have on right now. I have on a blue shirt and gray pants, and I am a visually impaired plus size model. I was born in Barbados, and I moved here at the age of 9. So I am a mother as well, also married, and I am the CEO and founder of Not My Eyes. I also do philanthropist as far as modeling and acting and what have you.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Okay, you can pass that to Peter. Peter, can you,
Yeah, give it up.
tough act to follow, but can you describe yourself and your visual experience?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Peter K here. Peter Kuchirabi. I am what am I wearing? I'm wearing a charcoal gray suit with a salmon shirt, and brown shoes, brown belt, brown glasses.
Okay, Salmon.
um, I have cone rod dystrophy. Yeah, cone rod dystrophy. It's very related to retinitis pigmentosa, sort of in that general ballpark. I was sharing with my co-panelists earlier that I've gone through 3 different diagnoses over the course of my life. Started with Stargard's just before turning 9 years old, and then that transitioned into a diagnosis of RP. And then about 10 years ago, I saw a genetic counselor and had some testing done, and they said it's probably more accurate to describe it as cone rod dystrophy. And my condition is a little bit unique. I lost my sight, most likely due to exposure, the radioactive exposure in just south of Chernobyl, Ukraine. I was born just before the nuclear power plant explosion, so it's not something that runs in my family necessarily, but it did have an impact on my genetic code, and so it's caused my vision to deteriorate over the course of my life. My relationship with my blindness, is that
Sure.
the question? So um, I've had a really windy road in terms of my relationship with my blindness, and it's important to know that while I present myself as confident and I've got my life by the bullhorns these days and feel good about where everything is headed, it's important to remember or to know that that's not where it got started. Where it got started, which many of you can potentially relate with, is feeling like everybody around me was to blame, whether it was my parents, whether it was God, whether it was my siblings, whether it was the dog, whether it was the neighbor. Everybody had some role to play in how terribly my life was going for a while. And it was only when I realized that the only person in charge of the direction of my life was me, that I was able to start carving my path and shaking off the bad attitudes around me, including my own. By the way, that was the most important bad attitude to shake off, and really start seeing life as an opportunity, as a playground, as a place to explore myself in the circumstances that I had available to me, and not coveting somebody else's. And that's when things really turned around. So I would say that my relationship with my blindness these days is incredibly positive, incredibly proud, and pretty successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Hey everyone, my name's Lance Johnson, and I'm wearing a black polo and black slacks and some black Chuck Taylors. I have long blonde hair. I think I'm pretty handsome, um, but yeah, it's an honor to be here, and I'm excited to chat. I know Kiana through my podcast, which is called the See Through Podcast, where I interview people, living with blindness. Like Kiana mentioned, I have retinitis pigmentosa, but I still have most of my vision remaining. I've probably lost half of my vision, and it's getting worse as the years go by. But I started my podcast to kind of see what's up ahead of me, to learn from the professionals, and get guidance and wisdom from other people who are living with blindness. And I make a ton of content that's based around that, based on someone who's like newly diagnosed, learning to accept that they have an eye disease, learning how to accept, what's coming up. Sometimes people like myself have one foot in the sighted world and one foot in the blindness world, and sometimes it's kind of it's confusing sometimes. So sometimes you just want to try to make sense of it, and that's kind of the type of content I make. And I also work professionally as a video editor, and I was a videographer for a long time as well. And I still film all of my videos for my YouTube channel and podcast. But my career is a video editor, and so I'm curious about tech and how to adapt and to make sure that I can have a sustainable career, as my vision progresses. But yeah, excited to be here.
Thank you. Okay, and this question is for everyone. We'll start back with you, Lance. So you should have the microphone. If you don't, slide it back over.
I
Okay.
have the mic.
Okay. When did you discover accessibility or that your world was inaccessible as it relates to media? Now, you have a unique position, Lance, because you're a high partial, but I want you to think about that question and answer it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I think I mentioned I'm a video editor now. Back in North Carolina, which is where I'm from, I was really hands-on with cameras, and it was probably 50-50 split between shooting and editing. And as my vision was getting worse, I was still driving at the time. I don't drive anymore, but there would be shoots far away and new places, and I'm lugging around all this equipment, and there's dark studios and expensive lights and cameras on tripods, and I'd move super slow. I'd ask someone to hand me a lens for a camera and wouldn't quite know where they were handing it to me from, and it just kind of was a rude awakening to kind of be like, maybe I need to adjust the way I approach my career. So I would say that was probably when I recognized that, like, when people are expecting you to operate with full sight and you don't have full sight. At the time, I wasn't telling anyone I had retinitis pigmentosa, which is obviously a big no-no, but I was pretending, and eventually I got to a point where I couldn't pretend anymore, and then I had to change, my ways, and so sometimes it's just like accepting and kind of adapting that way. But yeah, I would just say, video sets, if you don't make it a point to have them be accessible, they're not accessible. And like I said, it's tons of lights, equipment, heavy lights, metal stands, $10,000 cameras on tripods that you don't want to knock over and be in charge of. So yeah, so having an accessible set is possible, but if you don't, you know, speak up and make it that way, it's not going to be that way.
Thank you. I think a lot of people can relate to that passing, that pretending that we can see things when we can't. This may not be the same experience for those who have been totally blind for a long time or at birth, but if you've had sight, a lot of usable sight, we go through this period of trying to convince other people that we can see. Oh, I meant to bump into that, or I was going this direction, or oh, are you talking to me? Oh, you weren't talking to me, and it can be really uncomfortable. And it's something that a lot of people experience. So you're not unique in that, and a lot of people do go through that. Peter, now you have a really interesting perspective on this. When did you discover accessibility, or that your world was inaccessible in terms of media?
Yeah, so my story, let's make Lance feel really, I like crowd participation, you guys. So let's make Lance feel really well. How many of you guys were pretending at some point? Any pretenders?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, a lot of
Oh,
pretenders.
yeah, I heard still am from two people. I won't call you guys out, but I saw you. I pretended to see you.
How many of you walked in here without a cane? No, I mean, it's a common story for a lot of us. And we were talking about this before. There's this period of time for those of us who lost sight gradually where you really act like you're not blind yet. And because you don't feel like you're in one world or the other. And I went through that phase of my life. And certainly during that time, and this was, age 8 to, 21, 22. During that period of time, I did a whole lot of pretending. It was just playing pretend for a solid 14 years or so. And I realized that everything was not accessible, but I wasn't speaking up for myself. Nobody was speaking up on my behalf. And it wasn't until I got to that point where I started to realize that technology existed and I got desperate for it. And I like to tell this story because it's kind of funny, but when I first discovered JAWS, um, I was about 20 years old and realized I found this center for the visually impaired down in Atlanta, Georgia, where I used to live. And they got me in there, started doing the kind of training work that the Lighthouse does, some similarities there, technology, cane travel, life skills, that kind of thing. And I really gobbled up the, the sorry, inside joke here, the opportunity to take advantage of everything that they were giving me, but especially technology, because it was my access. It was my access point to the world. And I remember the first time there was this platform that had just went live. It was called YouTube. And I was like, people are talking about YouTube. It was this new thing where you could put videos up, and
One, four.
I didn't have access to it. But all of a sudden, I was learning how to use JAWS. I went on the internet and I typed in youtube.com. And the first video that I clicked on was the My Hips Don't Lie music video. It just so happened to be the first one there. I didn't look for it if you were curious. But it's a memory for me because it was the first time that I was able to go online, click on a video, and play a video for myself without having to ask somebody to do it for me. But what I realized, that as exciting and emotional as that moment was for me to know that I could now surf the web, that video itself was not described and it wasn't accessible. And it would be a long time from that point before I really discovered what audio description was and what some of these accessible media, things that were starting to be developed. Some of them were already, being done. Audio description was already out, but it was super minimal. Most of us didn't know about it. And so that was my entry point to understanding, where the lack of access is. And of course, it led me on my own journey out of a background of health and wellness into accessibility and wanting to do more to provide for our community to make sure that we have access to technology and communication.
Thank you. Thank you. His hips don't lie. Got it. Okay. All right, Anna, when did you discover accessibility or that your world was inaccessible as it relates to fashion for you?
Okay, so you can hear me, right? Okay, so let me just scale back a bit. Coming from a person that was actually going to school as a OT, the school that I attended didn't really had much services for people who had, disabilities. So that's when I fully discovered, I was inaccessible as far as, going to school and what have you. So moving forward with that, now, as I progress my opportunity in the fashion industry, I, a little story. I'm not going to give you the whole entire story, but when I first started modeling, I was actually signed to an agency, and they weren't accessible to me at all, you know. And when I had met Tis Scott and the CEO and the CEO and founder of Curvaceous Boutique and Jeannie Ferguson, they were able to open me up to actually train with them one on one on my signature walk and what have you. After winning the Curvaceous competition and creating Not My Eyes fashion showcase, that's when I was able to have control and make sure that our fashion show would not be the typical fashion show for sight, like as for they have for sighted people. So what I have done is, what we have done, we created, the popsicle sticks on the runway is be a mark for our models. Also, we are also audio descriptive when it comes to our live stream, our virtual tickets. Also, we have reflected tape that for those models who can actually see, they'll be able to see that mark at the end of the runway as well. The clothing, we have volunteers that will describe the clothes as they put them on to the models and what have you. So we try to make ourselves very accessible for our models, and just not for our models, but for the designers, because you have sighted people that cannot see as well, and they supposed to have more sight than us. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So I want to point out, because you led into our next question, like, what are you doing in terms of accessibility? It sounds like, Anna, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like you felt left out. And so you created something for us that makes sense. And in this fashion show, so many details are made to have a full experience for those in the audience with the audio description, correct? And the walkway. I was so nervous when I went to the fashion show and there were lights on the ground. I said, oh, this is genius. And then there was tactile tape on the ground. So if you're a cane user, you would be able to feel confident and show off your stuff and still be in a safe space because your cane would swipe left to right. And then the people were describing the gowns. It wasn't a purple dress, it was pewter and it was fuchsia and it was sparkly. And I watched people have such a full experience and top designers, not just any old body, but the way people were treated with such respect for their bodies and for their experience and their visual impairment. It was pretty awesome. So thank you for creating that. So I answered your question for you. We're going to send this back to Peter. So, Peter, you have helped create an app. Can you talk about what that was born out of and what that app is?
Yeah, right. So, how many folks in the room have Spectrum service in their home? All right.
Wish I did.
We got some people online that have Spectrum too. So, one of the things that you might know is over the last, 9, 10 years or so, things have really changed a lot in the world of telecom and how we provide accessible services. You went from having those cable boxes that you needed somebody else to navigate to now being able to turn something like guide narration or voice on so you can navigate the guide independently. You can get your billing statements in braille or large print. You can go online using JAWS or VoiceOver and pay your bill, navigate the apps, the Spectrum TV app that came out, be able to, manage all of your telecom components accessibly. But the one thing that we don't control is the creation of audio description. So these live, the creation of audio description lives with our programming partners. So the studios themselves, some of them have requirements to provide a certain amount of audio description, top 5 networks do. Some go above and beyond any requirements that they have, like PBS and others. And others, just sort of have a mixed bag, and it depends on budget. It depends on a number of conditions, but we don't get to control that. So there was a conversation happening among myself and some of my colleagues at the time who were having a party, a May the 4th be with you party. So it was a May the 4th, and they wanted me to join them for this Star Wars watch party, and I'll confess, I had never seen Star Wars before. Worse yet, I still have never seen Star Wars. But what happened during that conversation was very revealing because, I said, well, I can't watch Star Wars and I never have because there's too much going on. I can't see it. So maybe, if you can find the audio description for it, I'll be happy to come and eat your popcorn. And so that led to a conversation about, well, what can we do? Obviously, we want you to be a part of it, but there's no audio description. So a colleague of mine at the time said, you know what, I'll write the audio description for it myself. And it turned out that was a lot harder than it seemed. And so then it led to more conversations about the availability of audio description in general. And, while we can't go off writing audio description for these studios' content, what we could do is improve the availability of access to that content. For instance, if you're watching TV and you turn on SAP and you get the audio description, but then that content is in your on-demand library and now there is no audio description. In other circumstances where the audio description doesn't follow the content when it moves from one programmer to another, what do you do? 3 months ago, you could have watched it with audio description and now it's nowhere to be found. So we got together and purchased the technology, the underlying technology for the app that we built essentially on top of it, which is now known as Spectrum Access. And it's essentially a place where we could put these audio description files. We could reach out to our studio partners and say, we've got an application that can host these audio description files. Whatever you have, send it to us. We'll host it there. That way, when the content moves around or goes to on demand or somewhere else, people can still find it and enjoy the content. And it's a win-win. It's a win for the community because you have the audio description, but it's a win for the studios because their content has more watches, more views. And it took a little while to get off the ground, but we started with about 400 titles, and now we're somewhere in the ballpark of 1,300 and growing. Have some new partnerships with new studios, and we're onboarding some really exciting stuff that may or may not be relevant to folks but ASL coming on board this month as well, and we also have closed captioning on there that you can read with a Braille display, by the way. So really important for our deafblind community. So it just became one thing after the other, and it became an innovation platform where we could increase the availability of access to these accessibility tracks, but also improve the experience that you have with them. So when you turn on SAP, you're getting audio description, but you're getting audio description in conjunction with the movie or show. But with the app, it's coming on your phone and while your movie is playing on your TV, for instance. So there's a synchronization that happens that synchronizes the audio description track to what you're watching. And you can take an earbud, for instance, an AirPod or something like that, put it in your ear and be the only one that hears the audio description, right? So that's really exciting. If you have Bluetooth hearing aids but need audio description, you can customize the way that you hear that audio description in your own Bluetooth hearing aids versus sitting down with your family and hearing it at the same tone or whatnot. So this is really exciting. So while we can't control the first part of it, we can certainly do something about the second part, was just how you get access to it and how much access you have. And that's exactly what we're doing with the Spectrum Access app.
Thank you so much. That was really informative. And I just want to remind everyone that our panelists will be here after this event. So if you have questions and you want to know more about this app or the titles, Peter K will be here for a while. And he's a really good resource. So I implore you to download that app. I use it. And you can use it discreetly, right, in your ear, like I currently have an AirPod in my ear. And or you can use it while you're moving around, but it's there for us. And it does increase our ability to have access to entertainment. So Peter, thank you so much for that answer and for your work. We really appreciate it. Okay, Lance, Mr. Johnson. Okay, all right. I'm wondering, you sleep? You good? All right. Okay, so your experience is a little bit different in terms of accessibility. Why is amplifying the voices of the blind community so important to you?
It's a great question. Partially, it's just curiosity and also being selfish. I want what's best for me. I have retinitis pigmentosa, and I want to maximize how I live with retinitis pigmentosa. And like I said earlier, I want to talk to people who have the wisdom already, so I can, listen and learn, and practice and live a, more well-adjusted life to my vision loss. I grew up in a small town in North Carolina called Hope Mills, North Carolina. My mom's here with me, by the way, so shout out to my mom. But she,
Hey, Mom.
and my mom was legally blind, so I grew up with a legally blind mom, and I was diagnosed when I was 14 with RP because they wanted to do tests on my eyes, just considering the fact that my mom has retinitis pigmentosa. So, and in my small town, there's no real sidewalks. It's based around driving. My mom had to give up driving, and I saw how much she had to rely, on other people to get around, and and also there was no one else in our town who was visually impaired or blind, so it felt very foreign, and as I was aging into my vision loss, I didn't want to feel like a stranger anymore. So that's when I started talking to people on my podcast and interviewing people, just to kind of force myself to kind of join this community, and not be a stranger and not feel so isolated or like alone in vision loss, because there's a lot of other people I knew there was a lot of other people who were going through it, but since I didn't know them, I felt like I was the only one. And so, yeah, just talking to people is helpful. And since I went to film school and I like to tell stories. I made documentaries, so I figured I'd use my skill set to kind of make material out of it, and that's where the podcast came in. Where I have video versions of episodes, I have audio versions of episodes, and so yeah, it's a way for me to also learn, but also a way to share people's stories because a lot of people in the blindness community have amazing stories, and it's incredible what everyone's up to. Just like everyone here, my other panelists here, and so yeah, I think just using my skills to kind of share everyone's story. I think that's feels like a blessing for me to be able to have the skill set to do that. Um, and then, like I said, selfishly learn in the process. So yeah, it's kind of twofold. So yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to point out that each of you have kind of touched on creating something because there was a need. A void was there, right? There wasn't a fashion show that featured us. This app did not allow us to join the May the 4th be with you party, right? And Lance, even in New York City, that has a ton, millions of people, blindness can make you feel really isolated. And so I'm really fortunate through Lighthouse Guild to share space with you all today because you're not alone. RP hits a lot of people. Blindness impacts 2.4% of the population here in the United States. And when we share our stories, when you have platforms for us, we find that there are more connections that bring us closer than that really separate us. I found so much similarity in the experience of many of you that are in the audience today, and certainly some of you guys that are joining virtually. So you might be watching and have a great idea that hasn't been done. You might be the start of the next 501c3, I said it right, nonprofit organization or for-profit organization. So I encourage you to continue to be creative. We're going to go into our last question because we do have some comments and questions, and our audience is a lively bunch. I know most of you. So I'm going to ask you all the same question. What is next for you? AI is a big deal. Technology is continually changing, and we know that technology is the great equalizer in the blind spaces, right? It is what gives us access to our world and expands our capacity to connect with other people and to do our jobs. So, what is next for your company or for your app? What can we expect moving forward? So, we'll start with you, Lance, because I believe you have the microphone.
Have the mic.
Okay. All right, Lance.
I think I built a good foundation with my podcast. I just want to keep continuing and building upon it, and just trying to reach a wider audience. I think that's my biggest goal. I feel like this. I want to help bridge the gap between the two worlds, the sighted world and the blindness world. And I think everyone's story is fascinating, and um, so I feel like I just need to keep going and building what I've already started, and just a continuation of what I've already started. Um, and with a major focus on YouTube, and maybe I'll make my own version of the Hips Don't Lie video. Um, yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. You guys still with us?
They're
Talking
hungry.
Like that audience participation. I know there's food. We'll take care of you guys here in a minute. What's next? I mean, I'll tell you again, this is a blind low vision crowd, but we do a lot of work in the area of accessibility that maybe doesn't exactly relate to the blind community, but it does to the disability community as a whole. And we all try to stay together, right? Because access for someone is access for everyone, and that's the way it works. So one of the things that we've started to expand into is the world of American Sign Language for our deaf community. It's just a massive world that I've gotten to know a lot about. For instance, you might not know that somebody who's born deaf may learn ASL years before they learn English, written English. And so ASL is their first and only language in some cases, and they have trouble with written English. And so for those customers coming into our stores wanting to pay their bill or sign up for new services, we've launched a technology in our stores that allows that deaf customer to launch the ASL on their app, on their phone rather, via QR code, and be able to use a virtual interpreter to communicate with the agents. And I mentioned the Spectrum Access app, so we're bringing ASL files to the app as well. So these, just like you would have audio description, closed captioning there. And by the way, did I mention that Spectrum Access was a free app? Anybody hear the word free? I hear the free sells, so I'm trying to sell this thing for free. Um, as long as it's Spectrum Access. So yeah, download the app and use it. We're continuing to grow content there. I think that, the thing that's on the horizon there is innovating the way that the app works, that works with your home technology, with your Bluetooth speakers and that kind of thing. But, the app only works if you use it. And, if you go in there and there's not a file, let's say there's not audio description for a movie or show that you want to watch, there's a suggested list in the search below that'll give you that title that you're searching for, and you can request that title. So there's a request now button, and you request the title, and I gather this data on the back end and then go to our studio partners and say, hey, look, there's 118 people that want My Hips Don't Lie audio description or whatever, So, that carries some leverage with it because it shows that there's demand from the community. So I ask you to use the app, enjoy it, request titles. It's our gift to the community. It's truly one of the only free things that's out there. When people say free, there's usually a hook. So if you're not a Spectrum customer or you live in an area that's not serviced by Spectrum, you can still enjoy the app. But if you are in an area that's serviced by Spectrum and you're paying your bills, and we really appreciate that, there's some services for our customers specifically that you can take advantage of. I mentioned large print and braille bills that you can get, or any sheet of paper that you get to your home from Spectrum can be made available to you in large print or braille. But I want to tell you about something really exciting. So we've got a platform called Zumo. It's a streaming platform. So if let's say you're one of those cord cutters, you decided to cut your cable off, but you still want access to the Spectrum TV app on a platform, the Zumo box is available to you, and we are launching a large button remote. It's a really beautiful remote. I think it functions super well, high contrast, spaced out buttons, dedicated accessibility button that you can program to have it do whatever it is that you want it to do, like turn on voice guidance. And you have voice input. So you have a button that you can press and say, find Tom Cruise movies, and it'll pop those up for you. Or you can search by channel number or name and such. So take advantage of those, because that remote, while it's $10 to the general population, it's free to our customers who have a disability. So, and the other thing that I want to mention, if you're calling in to ask about these questions, we do have a dedicated disability support team. So in our call centers, there's a group of agents that have been trained to handle those calls. So if you've been calling and getting the runaround, bouncing from one person to another, maybe people don't quite know what you're talking about, we do have a group of agents that are trained. So I'm happy to share all of that information with all of you afterward. Make sure that you get it down on your Braille note taker, your Sharpies, or whatever it is that you brought today, so you can go home and have the experience that you can really enjoy, whether it's on the service side or on the product side, and just make sure to take advantage of it. But we're going to continue to deliver top-notch, accessible experiences, whether it's required legally or not, because we believe that everybody should have access, especially if you're paying for that bill.
That's right. Thank you, Peter. So Anna, you're going to close us out, and I'm going to ask you guys to think of your questions and comments. We're going to have someone come around with the microphone. So if you want to share your comment or you have a question, start to get it ready so you can ask it quickly and efficiently. Okay, Anna, Not My Eyes does so much phenomenal work. I'm super personally excited about it. What's next for Not My Eyes?
Well, from the perspective of Not My Eyes, we are actually making some changes right now as far as our website. Actually making it more accessible. I just want to let everyone know, to inform everyone, that my whole team, well, I would say 95% of my team is either visually impaired or blind, who conducts the social media, from the website, me operating the whole production of the fashion show, and I have my executive and administrative director. And mind you, we are all from different states. Not everybody is based out of New York. So right now we are looking to expand. Keep in mind, the fashion show is just a vehicle, yes, to bring forth confidence. We are also we're here to, enforce confidence and be bold, and to us to look pretty and bring forth excellence in as embodied technology and what have you. But the main thing is that what we're here for is to raise funds for organizations in different islands. So each year we select a different island, where we donate the funds that we raise from the fashion show. So right now we're looking for grants, we're looking for sponsorship and partnership as well. And we're actually, right now we're in communication um, of a celebrity, actually. Hopefully things will go through with that. That will partner us partner up with us, and so that we can bring forth more greatness towards our fashion show. We have always partnered up with the UN. Kiana was a part of that, um, and we are continue to do that. And we're looking to expand to making Not My Eyes not just nationwide, but we're looking to also go forth as international as well. And we had just implemented the men, so now we're looking for. we also and we also looking forward to do a Not My Eyes kids fashion show as well. So yes, I'm and mind you, some of our models are like Kiana. Did you mention it?
I did not.
You want me to, or you want to?
Okay. And then
Okay.
we're gonna go into our
All right. Sorry, I just taken a space. But so also we have a I'm the director for Miss Capable Curves. Right now, our serving brand ambassador and Miss Capable Curves is Alexis Riddick from North Carolina. And right now we have Kiana, Esther, and Sharon that's going to be hopefully Miss Next Capable Curves next week at Rockland County. So it's a modeling competition. Please support these ladies, and I'm the director. I help out with everything. So, that's intertwined with Not My Eyes as well. So, yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So everyone, there's opportunity. If you want to model, see Anna in the Smart Lab here at Lighthouse Guild. She has information and ways to participate for next year's fashion show. They have donated to schools in St. Vincent, Jamaica, and Barbados. So it's a great organization and it's really awesome. Look out for the See Through podcast. You'll find my episode and some cool kids. And you guys have some cool stories. So hint, hint, go see Lance in the Smart Lab. And if you need to know about that app, you're going to see Peter K in the Smart Lab directly after this conversation. So I'm going to ask Emily, our volunteer, to come up. She has a wireless microphone. And if you have questions and comments, we're ready for them. So Emily, you have the microphone? You got to turn it on, mama.
Now? Okay, this is better. Striped shirt. I got you in the back.
Here we go.
Yeah, I was serious. Thank you to all the panelists. Great job at everybody. Questions for the Not My Eyes person. So the fashion show sounds excellent. Now I have a question for maybe for some people, not for me, but some people may be sensitive to sound. Is there any sensory adaptations to the fashion show, like as far as decibels, as far as volume, just in case for some individuals, or not at the moment?
Well, every fashion show that we hosted, we usually have the music on a low bass volume because we do, like Kiana had mentioned, we have a fashion commentator that actually describes the outfits. So, yes.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Um, my sister's up there. You're doing a great job as the on the panelist and all that. So congratulations for that. But I have actually two questions. What New York City based programs exist to help the visually impaired individuals like find jobs and training in modern industries? That's one of them. And should I ask the one question first and then wait?
I can answer that really quick.
Okay.
Welcome to Lighthouse Guild, where we help blind and low vision people attain their various goals from vocational support, mental health support, orientation and mobility, technology, cool kids like us, a little bit of entertainment, and adaptive athletics. So if you yourself are visually impaired, on all seriousness, and you need support, you're here in the New York City area, our headquarters is here, 250 West 64th Street in Manhattan. We also have a wide telesupport network, so you don't have to be here to receive support. These groups are tailored and moderated by professionals that can help you explore some of the um, concerns and unique circumstances you find yourself in when you are associated with the low vision community. You yourself could be low vision and have a sighted child. There's a group for that. You could be a partner of someone who is visually impaired. There's a group for that. You could be someone suffering from albinism and it impacts your vision. There's a group for that as well. And so you can access these groups by visiting lighthouseguild.org and looking at our telesupport groups. We have an amazing outreach team. And that was an excellent question. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your second question?
Yo, you did such a thorough job. You answered my second question, so thank
Okay,
you.
well, all right for efficiency. Next question.
Hey, pink sweater and even pinker skirt.
Or oh, okay. I have a question for. Is it Amy? That's your name?
Anna.
Anna. Okay. It's two questions. One, do you have totally blind models, and how do they guide themselves down the runway?
So, answer to your first question, yes, we do. We have a variety is between low vision and totally blind models, whether they're male or female, because blindness is a spectrum. But what was I'm sorry, the other question was oh how they got okay, so we do not discriminate in any type of fashion or form. Um, models are allowed to use a cane, the guide dog, or if you don't want to utilize the guide dog or the cane, we have escorts on board that will guide you down the runway.
And these escorts are actual working models that are like
Really?
7 feet tall,
Very buff.
handsome or gorgeous. And they, I can speak to this. Anna has ensured that they are all trained
Yes.
in human guide technique. And so the way in which they escort models down the catwalk or down the runway is to showcase them. So they wear all black so that they're there as your guide and you are the star. And so I love that Anna has taken so much time to ensure that our community is respected and given front row status. So excellent question. Thank you.
Yo.
Sure. Okay. We have a question on Zoom. So Alex or Jeremy, if you could share that question.
They said they had a question on what type of training is needed if someone is interested in helping to provide audio descriptions of entertainment content such as movies or TV shows.
That's a good question. I'm going to direct that to Peter and then I'll back you up, Peter, because I have some information on that.
Yeah. What I'll share is, again, while we don't have any direct involvement in the writing of audio description, there's a whole world out there of voice talent, audio description writing. In fact, the last several years that we've done this panel, we've had some amazing blind audio description professionals who write, voice, do all the talent there. And there are excellent organizations that exist that you can partner up with. Um, my friend Dr. Joel Snyder runs an organization that trains voice talent and audio description writers to enter into the world of audio description. It's amazing. You have people who are reading audio description with Braille and voicing it superbly. You have people who are listening to audio description in their ear or the text and being able to voice it out there. So there's many ways to approach that. So if you're blind and you want to get into that space, there's a ton of resources.
Yeah, I think you answered that pretty well. Last year's panelist was named Thomas Reed from the Read My Mind podcast, where you can find on any podcast platform. He himself is totally blind and does not read Braille, and he is a very popular voice talent. Brian is in here, Velasquez. He asked a question earlier. He is a voice talent in a different capacity. So there's a ton of different organizations. And I also want to shout out one of our neighbors, Lincoln Center, who's also committed to ensuring that their shows and programming contain some form of audio description when available. So there are a lot of different resources. So if you check lighthouseguild.org, last year's access to entertainment workshop panel discussion, you will find Thomas Reed, and he's listed on some of the media, and he's another resource that can help you in terms of becoming a voice talent, because this is open to people who are blind and low vision as well. That was an excellent question. Thank you, Zoom. Any more questions in the room?
Someone in the front?
Two quick questions, one for the gentleman with the podcast and other one for Spectrum. There are a gazillion podcasts out there in the universe. So how do you distinguish yourself? And do you have any corporate sponsorships for your podcast, or is that a thing?
Great question. Yeah, there are tons, I think.
Speaking of
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons and tons of podcasts, and there's also different podcasts that focus on, blindness and disabilities. I think what makes mine different is me, and the question, yeah, and the questions I ask, and the perspective that I bring, because again, I'm someone new, and so my questions come from like a sense of curiosity, because I'm not going to be able to teach anybody who's been living with blindness their whole life anything new. They're the ones teaching me. So as the host, it's kind of like that's the dynamic. So I think that's kind of what separates my podcast from others. I don't have any sponsors, but of course, if anyone wants to, they can reach out to me. But yeah.
Thank you. I'm a Spectrum customer and have been for a number of years. And yes, the accessibility department is very helpful. So kudos to them. I usually just call them directly for everything. I don't bother with anything else, any other departments when I have a question or concern. I am interested in the app. And so if I call the accessibility department, will they help me, or how do I get this app?
Yeah, great question. So for the first part, for those of you, especially on Zoom, who might not be able to come around after, there's a direct phone number for that disability support team, and we encourage you to use it. I don't know. For a second, I thought somebody was dictating it back there. Like somebody knows the number by heart, man. That's amazing. So yeah, 1-844-762-1301. Extra brownie points for the person back there who knew it. And so for the Spectrum Access app, the Spectrum Access app is not a paid app. So our disability support team doesn't really handle that. Believe it or not, there's an email, spectrumaccess@charter.com. Yours truly manages that email, so I sift through all those comments and respond. So I am personally happy to make some time to get you set up, to make sure that you understand how it works. There is a quick start guide that exists in the app. So if you just download it, it's called Spectrum Access. You download it. In the settings, there's a quick start guide that'll explain how the app works in a text format. There's a YouTube video you can link to that'll explain it as well. But I personally am happy to make myself available, or you can email spectrumaccess@charter.com and I can text you all the instructions there and make sure that you have somebody to reach out to when you have questions.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, lady in a tie-dye pink dress. Yeah.
Thank you for that audio description of her outfit. We appreciate it.
Welcome to Blindness. All right, so this, this question is for Lance. So I too have RP, and I was in the audio and visual for many, many years. And I I've also had my own graphics company. And despite the fact that I had no clue what color dress I'm wearing today, due to like a family emergency, I'm not really here. But I do have a question. From someone who was, I guess, in your seat maybe 15 to 20 years ago. And, with RP and career, you're constantly reinventing yourself. There were several careers that I had to say, well, no, that's not going to work right now. So have you thought about staying in the field of audio and visual and reinventing the Lance experience, as I call it? And what other like endeavors have you looked into as far as career wise due to your pending sight loss?
Yeah, thanks for the question and sharing that about yourself. Yeah, it's something I think about every day, to be honest with you. You know, I currently make a living full time. I edit for Paramount Plus. I make social media content for them, for some reality TV shows, and I just had my firstborn son last month. So I obviously New York City is very expensive, and so you think about these things. How am I going to sustain this? How am I going to keep this going? I don't want to just find any job because I feel like I have a certain personality or skill set that I want to utilize, and that's a huge part of why wanted to start my own thing, with the podcast and my see-through YouTube channel, because I wanted to have full creative control over my own project and kind of dictate where it grows and how it grows, versus always depending on other people to hire me, etc. And Yeah, I think through my social media following and network with the podcast, I've met a few other people who work in the industry, and I've been able to edit with Foundation Fighting Blindness and videos for them and be a part of them, and I kind of enjoy doing things like this. I wouldn't mind, being more involved on the speaking side and just kind of maybe mentoring others about how to, better optimize their creative platforms and channels, since I have over a decades long experience in marketing and in video production. So um, I I'm excited about the future, but I worry about the future. And the best thing that I can do is to keep making as much things as I possibly can and learn as much as I can along the way, adapt as I go. I'm trying to learn more when it comes to, utilizing AI and things like that. I use AI to help me with editing, certain parts of my editing process. And Yeah, it's just trying to stay up to date because, as you know, tech changes so fast. So I already feel like, as a as someone, I'm 35, so I already kind of feel like TikTok's kind of goes over my head. I feel a little lost, so I already kind of feel a little bit antiquated and old. Um, Yeah, yeah. So I have to stay young somehow when it comes to, social media content and video, and it's a challenge, but it's just something I have to do. Just to It's either sink or swim. So wish me luck because I might fail, but um, but yeah, I think I'm hopeful that, that's another thing too. I'll say is you never know what opportunities will come up. It's like I had no clue that I enjoyed, you know talking to people in this space as much as I do, and the connections it's brought. And I couldn't have predicted years ago when I was pretending that I would be doing I would be a part of a panel like this, So interesting things happen. So I don't know. We'll see.
Good answer. Thank you. Please raise your hand if you have more questions. I just want to mention one thing about our community. 75% of us are unemployed or underemployed, right? And for those of us who are working or get opportunities for contract employment or part time employment or internships, that we have to be adaptable. Many of us, I think everyone on this panel and quite a few of you in the audience, are not doing what we went to school for or what we were doing 10 years ago. Right. So we have to learn technology so quick. And shameless plug for Lighthouse Guild, we have vocational services here that can help shape you, that can help you with the conversation of what I want to do and not feel limited because of our site, right? Because Excel makes me crazy. It is possible to learn if you get the proper training. And so I implore you to use your network and to tap in here at Lighthouse Skills, and certainly the people to the left and to the right of you. For me, it's person to the right, to learn what else is possible. I hope you guys connect to their different platforms and projects, and maybe it'll create another opportunity, another platform, another panel discussion. So make sure you use your community. Are there any more questions in the room?
Right here with the dog. Hi. Oh,
Yay, hi. First of all, hello, Peter Kirchneval. It's Peter Slayton. Um,
Our advisory.
nice to see you. And my question, though, is for Anna. And I'd love to hear how you decided to start a nonprofit, what that process was like. If you considered making it a for-profit business. And yeah, I think it's an interesting move you made and very special.
Thank you. That's a great question and compliment. Um, well, yeah, when my husband and I started the nonprofit, we did it on our own. Usually, people go through legal aid and legal zone, sorry, and we had did it basically on our own. And from ever since we're learning. We're not 100%, but we are learning. And shout out to the team that we do have. We they also help us with that. And yes, we are actually looking to go forward to be for a profit instead of nonprofit. It will be much better, not just for the team and myself, but also for those individuals who participate in the fashion show as well. And we just wanted to just create this platform to showcase to the world that disability or not, we are capable of doing many things. I had mentioned to the other panelists in the room that with us, sometimes they don't give us a chance. They turn the cheek, when it comes to anything that we want to accomplish. But I said it in many interviews. I said it many times, and I'm gonna say, and I stand on it, that sometimes we do things better than sighted people. So it's true. It's true. Even though we have to work, thank you. Even though we have to work like 10 times harder, at least we know it's done in excellence.
Right.
And we execute it very well. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
an advisor. Hi.
Hi, this is Yasmin. This question is, well, not really a question, but this is for Lance and for, I think, Anna. Um, so I'm Yasmin. I'm the first vice president for the American Council of the Blind for the state of New York. And I think that we would definitely like to get you guys contact information. Um, and I'm sure the lady sitting next to me, representing the National Federation of the Blind. Yes, Rashida. I'm sorry, Rashida from NFB. We definitely would like to have you guys contact information. You guys, sound very interesting to us. It's always hard starting. Starting this path as someone who's visually impaired. I also have a podcast that I started as well. And, it was a way for me to be able to deal with my vision loss. So, so doing those things, this is the first time that I've heard someone who's, visually impaired. I also have RP that does, something with like video editing. Like I'm still trying to hold on to TikTok. I'm still trying to hold on with YouTube. And, now that my vision has progressed, I'm just like, okay, where can I go, to be able to still, create things and still like participate and keep, keep up to date. Like you said, you feel you may like things may be going over your head at this point, but it's still, still hanging there. And but like I said, I just, definitely would like to get you guys contact information. And definitely we've definitely heard a lot about the fashion, the fashion industry with, Kiana and Rashida participating and things like that. So that's a space that I've never heard us be in before. And I have some ideas. I think that, it's a good way to reach out to our younger community who's visually impaired, because they may not feel that, this is something for them, but to know that there are organizations out there where they can participate and, enjoy themselves. I think it's very awesome. So I'll try to find you guys.
I'll be here. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And Peter, we already know you, Peter. The ACB already knows Peter, so we go with Spectrum.
Oh, yes, in the
So
back.
we're gonna have one more question in the room, and if you are here physically in the room, our panelists are gonna be here for another hour. So please connect with them, and you will receive a thank you email with contact information. So if you're not able to write it down or you're worried about accuracy, Lighthouse Guild is going to send you their confirmation thank you email with their contact information. So one last question in the room, please.
Yes, thank you very much, especially to Peter from Spectrum. I have one question regarding the Spectrum Access app. It seems that it's pretty much directed to the use of televisions. Many of us use tablets and mobile devices, iPhones. Are there any plans to expand the app so that it covers those devices as well? Because, for example, for changing channels or finding, making adjustments on the mobile device, on the Spectrum, it seems pretty difficult at this time.
For the Spectrum TV app, is that the question? So the Spectrum TV app that's available on cable, for instance, so if you've got cable service, the Spectrum Guide experience that you have there can be had through a mobile app, the Spectrum TV app, and that can be downloaded on a variety of platforms, smart TVs, iPhones, Androids, tablets, all of those. So you can go in there. Now, you're not using a remote to control that experience, but you're able to navigate the guide and the channels up and down just using those accessibility features. The Spectrum Access app is only available on smartphones and tablets, and usually is used in conjunction with like your TV experience, being able to synchronize, listen to the audio description on your tablet or phone while you're watching that movie. Did I address your question? The font is too small. Okay, so the iPhone, for instance, offers tools like Zoom, where you can zoom into it. Within the app itself, it gets a little more complicated, but it is compatible with features like Zoom. So you can enlarge it, you can do contrast swapping, that kind of thing. And I know this question gets asked a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and just answer it. If you're on an iPhone, for instance, and you're wanting to navigate through your channels, some people have asked that in the recent years, the app has changed and you're not able to go down below a certain number of channels. It pops you into the tabs at the bottom. And that's really just because of how massive the data is. So if you're not able to go down to the next channel, you have to actually swipe up and it feeds the next batch of channels. And sort of like you do with like the LinkedIn app, things like that. So it's just way too much data to load at once. So it loads the first batch and then you have to 3-finger swipe up if you're using VoiceOver to pull the next batch of content in.
Thank
Thought I'd
you.
throw that in there. All right.
So I just want to close up by thanking you all for participating in today's event. If you are joining us virtually and you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try to address them via email. And we thank you so much for your participation. For those of you in the room, if you'd like to meet the panelists and have a little more in-depth conversation, please see them in the lab right outside of where the refreshments are going to be held. For those of you who are seniors and need a little bit of assistance in terms of technology, Lighthouse Guild offers a program called Tech Pals. And Tech Pals will match you up with a younger person who can help you learn how to use your phone or your mobile device. Yes, Tech Pals. We have Tech Pals in here. We have the manager, Eddie Perez, who's here. Lighthouse offers a number of services that you can all utilize. And with that, I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you on behalf of Lighthouse Guild. Thank you to our panelists, Annalie Bowen-Smith, Lance Johnson, and Peter K. of Spectrum, because blindness is and we are all hungry, so let's go eat. Thank you all, and have a good night. Bye.
Do you go by Anna or Annalie? Anna. All right. Annalise. Annalise makes it sound distinguished. I like that. It's a good ring to it. Hey.
Got your bag leaning up
Thank you.
against your chair.
Thank you. I'm gonna turn this microphone.
Okay.
Do a selfie.
Selfie time.
Kiana, do you want to do a selfie? Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Maureen. Yes, I told somebody.
Okay, great. You guys